Well, it seems that Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez already have some relationship hater, $37 million divorce.
Well,
Billion,
honey. Put some respect on that.
You and your fiance, Jeff Bezos.
Who?
What if I told you the most glamorous wedding of the year was actually the first move in a billion-dollar betrayal? Venice, 2025. A $5 million wedding straight out of a fantasy private gondolas, diamond-studded gowns, helicopters circling overhead, and celebrities clinking champagne under the Italian sun.
It goes on and on about this woman who, let's face it, this relationship began in an extramarital affair. They were both cheating on their spouses, but now they're getting the Vogue treatment to where we're supposed to believe it's the grand love affair. And they point out about how out on the yacht, she's wearing her crop top, partying with Leonardo DiCaprio and Queen Rania of Jordan. And when questioned about how this isn't very green of them to have the yacht everywhere and the private jets,
Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez had the world mesmerized. To the outside world, it looked like the ultimate love story, the richest man on the planet marrying the woman of his dreams.
We mentioned Lauren Sánchez. She posted, or no, she didn't post, she was in the tabloids for this picture of Jeff Bezos smacking her thong-wearing bottom on their yacht. This is, I submit to you, a total setup.
But behind the scenes, something far more dangerous was unfolding because just weeks after saying I do, rumors exploded of a sealed $5 billion lawsuit, not from a tabloid, not from an ex, from Jeff Bezos himself, filed directly against Lauren. And now, the question everyone's asking, was the fairy tale ever real? Or was this entire wedding a calculated setup, one designed to control, protect, and eventually destroy?
It's a very challenging thing to try and estimate. So I think you just have to try and be reasonable about it, take as much risk off the table as you can for yourself. You know, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst.
Let's uncover the truth behind the world's most expensive love story, because this wasn't just a marriage. It was a masterclass in power, control, and revenge. It looked like a modern-day royal wedding. The Amalfi Coast shimmered under the summer sun as Jeff Bezos, tech titan, Amazon founder, and one of the richest men alive, sealed his love story with Lauren Sánchez, the stunning former news anchor turned media mogul.
Well, look at what she's done and how she's led her life.
And, you know, it's a $10 billion commitment, and it's really, you know, supporting.
Every moment felt choreographed by a Hollywood director. The $2 billion yacht, the kiss against a coastal backdrop, celebrities like Oprah, Kris Jenner, and Bill Gates beaming in the background. It was a spectacle that dominated every major headline and hijacked timelines around the globe.
Lauren Sanchez's, one of her former friends, does not think that Jeff Bezos should propose to her because she thinks that he would be a fool because Lauren Sánchez has had some very turbulent love relationships.
Right,
That's why he likes her.
Right.
Well, I know, but so here's the thing. She's been proposed to, or she's been engaged 4 times.
That means she got that good.
Yes.
The media couldn't get enough. The ultimate power couple, they called them. Photos from the event flooded social media. Lauren in a custom designer gown, Jeff in crisp white, the two of them laughing like they just stepped out of a fairy tale. Every outlet painted the same picture. Jeff and Lauren had found their happily ever after.
I do in front of famous friends after celebrating their 2023 proposal on a yacht with Kris Jenner and Bill Gates, and then again at an intimate soiree with Oprah and Rob Pattinson.
No, but wish them both well. They both released statements about the end of their marriage. They're both very kind and gracious to one another. And I think divorce, no matter what the circumstances, I think are always very painful. So the fact that they can walk away, and really only the two of them really know. All this chatter, all of these people don't know.
But what the world didn't see were the warning signs already peeking through the perfection, because while the internet swooned over the ring, the yacht, and the dress, insiders whispered about something very different. A legal team quietly flown into Venice. Private meetings happening in secluded villas, non-disclosure agreements being signed not just by vendors but by close friends. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a chessboard. And Jeff Bezos wasn't playing for love, he was playing to win. Before the yachts, the diamonds, and the magazine covers, there was scandal. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez didn't start out as a fairy tale. Their relationship was born in whispers, secret texts, and shadowed meetings while both were still married to other people. When the National Enquirer exposed their affair in 2019, it wasn't just gossip, it was a firestorm. Jeff's marriage to philanthropist Mackenzie Scott collapsed overnight. The cost? A record-shattering $35 billion divorce settlement, the most expensive in history. Lauren, too, walked away from her husband, Hollywood power agent Patrick Whitesell, and straight into the harsh spotlight of tabloid obsession. But instead of retreating, they leaned in, they rebranded. Suddenly, Jeff and Lauren weren't the villains of a scandal, they were the centerpiece of a reimagined narrative. Photo shoots with Vogue, yacht parties with Leonardo DiCaprio, red carpet appearances, designer everything, champagne on command. The headlines shifted from cheating scandal to power couple, but beneath the filters and flashbulbs, one truth remained untouched. Their entire love story was built on damage control, a second chance forged from the wreckage of two marriages, a new empire built not just on love, but on strategy.
Well, look at what she's done and how she's led her life.
So, you think this divorce settlement is fair?
Oh yeah, no, definitely. A marriage is a partnership. See, Bezos spent 25 years helping her husband grow his business and grow his swagger. I mean, look at that. He went from pleated pants salesman to jacked up arms dealer, am I right? Yeah, it's totally fair. Look, but that chapter is now closed, okay? It's over now, and this next phase is crucial.
And by the time they reached the altar in Venice, it wasn't just about the marriage anymore. It was about control. Venice, 2025.to, the world. It looked like the culmination of a love story. 5 million in flowers, hand-stitched designer gowns, and a guest list stacked with the world's most powerful names. The canals were buzzing, not just with gondolas, but with helicopters capturing every glittering angle. Lauren Sánchez floated down the aisle like a queen, and Jeff Bezos stood tall beside her, cool, composed, untouchable. Social media exploded. Hashtags like #BillionDollarLove and #BezosWedding trended globally. But beneath the luxury, something colder was happening. NDAs weren't just for the staff. Friends, stylists, even distant family members were asked to sign. A fleet of attorneys had flown in days before the ceremony, not to celebrate, but to monitor. Private security doubled as legal surveillance. Every conversation was logged, every photo approved. According to a source close to the couple, this wasn't just a celebration. It was a stage, a carefully orchestrated event designed to protect assets, silence potential leaks, and reinforce boundaries. Jeff wasn't marrying for love. He was marrying with strategy, because if there's one thing Jeff Bezos learned from his past, it's that nothing, absolutely nothing, should be left to chance. Not even a wedding. And behind the vows, the kisses, and the glittering champagne waited the most ruthless document of all, the prenup. Fairy tales don't come with fine print, but billionaire marriages do. And Jeff Bezos wasn't about to walk into another union blind. Burned once by the most expensive divorce in history, he came prepared. This time, love came with clauses, and the prenup Jeff handed Lauren Sánchez, it wasn't just paperwork. It was a fortress. Sources say the agreement was crafted by a top-tier legal team known for building ironclad contracts for Fortune 100 CEOs. Every paragraph, every clause, every signature was designed to protect Jeff's empire, his assets, his image, his legacy, and it didn't stop at money. The prenup reached into every corner of Lauren's future, from how she could speak publicly, to what she could post online, to who she could even be seen with in public. It was cold. It was clinical, and Lauren signed it because to her, it felt like a formality, a step on the path to security, wealth, and long-term power. She called it a $10 billion commitment. In private conversations, confident she was stepping into a protected world. But Jeff didn't see her as a partner. Not fully. He saw her as a variable of potential risk, and Jeff doesn't tolerate risk. He manages it. So when Lauren began pushing outside the lines, flirting with fame, seeking influence, wanting her own spotlight, Jeff's internal alarms started flashing. The prenup wasn't just a safety net, it was leverage. And the moment Lauren tried to step out of Jeff's shadow was the moment everything began to crack. The cracks didn't wait until after the honeymoon. In fact, they started forming before the wedding vows were even exchanged. Lauren Sánchez had a vision. This marriage wasn't just about love, it was her moment to step into power. She wasn't content being the woman behind the billionaire. She wanted her own empire, brand deals, cover shoots, production rights. She was moving fast, approving media interviews, coordinating photo ops, and quietly building a business strategy with her new last name at the center of it all. To her, it was ambition. To Jeff, It was instability. Insiders say Jeff began to see her not as a partner, but as a growing liability. Every headline she chased was another potential PR nightmare. Every photo shoot was another opportunity for control to slip from his grasp. And then came the breaking point. Just 2 days after the wedding, Lauren pitched a solo interview to a major media outlet. She wanted to tell her story, to show the world that she wasn't just Mrs. Bezos, but a mogul in her own right. Jeff shut it down immediately, called it too thirsty, said the timing was embarrassing. The conversation spiraled into a brutal argument behind closed doors. Lauren accused him of trying to control her, of reducing her to a trophy wife. And that's when Jeff dropped the line that shattered the room. "You married me, not the brand." That wasn't just a warning. It was a declaration of war, because from that moment on, their marriage wasn't about love. It was a standoff, Lauren demanding independence and Jeff demanding obedience. But Jeff doesn't fight out loud. He fights in silence, and the weapon he was about to use came from the past. To understand why Jeff Bezos finally snapped, you have to go back to 2019, the year everything nearly unraveled. That was when the National Enquirer dropped a bombshell leaked text messages between Jeff and Lauren, exposing their secret affair while they were both still married. It was messy, humiliating, and almost tanked Jeff's reputation overnight. Jeff believed he'd been betrayed, and he believed the source wasn't some hacker or media mole. He believed it was Michael Sanchez. Lauren's own brother, Michael, once trusted, was accused of selling those texts to the tabloids. It was a line Jeff swore no one would ever cross again. He told his circle clearly anyone tied to that leak was permanently cut off. No exceptions. So when whispers surfaced that Lauren had been in secret contact with Michael in the months leading up to the wedding, it lit a fire Jeff had buried for years. Sources say the messages were tame family updates, nothing scandalous. But for Jeff, that didn't matter. The mere fact that Lauren reopened that door after everything was unforgivable. Even worse, it may have violated a confidentiality clause in the prenup, the kind of clause written specifically to prevent exactly this kind of breach. In Jeff's world, there is no gray area. You're either loyal or you're a threat. And to Jeff, Lauren had just crossed a line she couldn't uncross. What came next wasn't a conversation. It was a $5 billion declaration of war. This wasn't a tabloid rumor. This wasn't a threat whispered behind closed doors. It was real. It was official. And it had a price tag. $5 billion. Jeff Bezos had filed a sealed lawsuit against Lauren Sánchez. A number so outrageous, it seemed surreal until insiders confirmed the paperwork was already in motion. But this wasn't about money. Jeff has more than he could ever spend. This was about something far more personal. The $5 billion figure wasn't random. It was strategic. It represented brand damage, prenup violations, and what Jeff saw as betrayal on a level that could endanger everything he built, not just Amazon, but his public image, his political influence, even his legacy, his legal team, not your average divorce attorneys. This was a covert operations unit, elite lawyers known for cleaning up high-profile disasters before they ever reached the public. The lawsuit was sealed, hidden behind layers of legal protection. But its impact would be nuclear if made public. It wouldn't just shatter Lauren's name, it would erase it. Her media deals, gone. Her brand partnerships, dropped. Her image as a power player, burned to the ground, because this wasn't just a man protecting his empire. It was a man preparing to rewrite the story without her in it. And when Lauren found out what Jeff had done, she didn't reach for a lawyer. She walked into his office and begged. Lauren wasn't clueless. She knew the kind of man Jeff had become, not the nerdy billionaire the world met in the 90s, but a calculated power player who could crush anyone with a single move. So when the lawsuit hit, she didn't waste time. Sources say she showed up at Jeff's estate uninvited. No lawyers, no publicists, just her and the man she once called the love of her life. And she begged, not for money, not for headlines, but for mercy. She asked him to walk away, to remember what they had, to stop the $5 billion lawsuit before it destroyed them both. But Jeff, he didn't even raise his voice. He simply said, "This isn't personal. This is what happens when you play games with the wrong man." Cold, calculated, like the entire romance had been a negotiation from the start. And just like that, the woman who once stood beside him at the most exclusive wedding in Venice was now standing alone, watching it all collapse. But even after the plea, the headlines weren't done, because what leaked next changed everything.